episode 3 of Unscripted. We're going to jump right into episode 3, and this one might be a little bit longer than normal. And it's going to be on credit card debt. Credit card debt is a monster that almost every American has fallen trapped to. And really want to focus on how younger kids, teenage kids, young adults can fall into the trap. They get a new credit card, they basically run up that credit, these young 20-something-year-olds, run it up, max it out, get a new one, run it up, max it out, and next thing you know, they're $30,000, $40,000 in credit card debt, and have no clue how to get out of it with outrageous interest rates. And it's kind of scary. And give a little background on myself. When I was that young 18, 19-year-old kid, I had no clue what a credit card was. I came from a family that had very little money. I don't ever remember us buying anything on credit. We never had a credit card. If my parents didn't have cash for it, we didn't get it. And that's just how life was. So I wasn't introduced to a credit card until some point after I joined the Navy and got stationed down in Pensacola, Florida. That's when I learned about credit cards. And then my own credit card story goes on for years, in and out of debt, pay them off, get a new one, pay it off, get a new one. And it was a vicious, reoccurring cycle, and I think that can be how life is. I mean, to this day, I still have credit cards, just like anybody else. I try to manage my credit card debt where I utilize my credit card debt, where I use it to buy and pay for the stuff that I'm going to get throughout the month, and then at the end of the month, I pay off my balance. And that's my responsibility, to manage that balance and keep it under what I can afford to pay. So that's something that I do. And I do that strictly to get the reward points, and that could be $200, $300, $400 a year of money that I earn from managing my credit cards wisely. And it's probably been 3 years since I have paid interest on my credit cards, since I pay them off each month. And now obviously that's not the Dave Ramsey way of doing things. As many of you know, Dave Ramsey believes in paying off all your debt, snowball debt, pay your debts off, and then cut those credit cards up and never get them again, which is the kind of the opposite way. I kind of do things the Graham Stephan way, where I'm responsible with what I'm spending my money on and how much money I'm spending every month to make sure I can pay it off, and at the same time still putting money away and saving money. And I've watched some TikTok videos of these people just in outrageous debt, and they don't know how to get out of it. And what I did for years, it took me years to get out of my own debt that I was swimming in, and that was my number one priority. There was months where I didn't do anything, and especially during COVID, when everybody's sitting at home, and a lot of people were like taking all that extra money and doing online shopping. I was still going to work full time. We were still working. We were busy at work. And I took that money I was getting from work and the extra money that was coming from any stimulus checks I got, and I was putting that away, paying off my debt, paying off as much as I could. I don't want to get into payday loans or buy now, pay later loans. Those are for a totally different day. But that's another rabbit hole we could go down. Today we're just focused on credit card debt. And honestly, the best thing that an individual can do is take a look at your debt that you have and focus on getting that. I always paid the highest interest stuff off first. If you got to get a side gig, or if you have a good gig that allows you to work overtime, you turn your attention to getting the overtime in, the side gig going, and any extra funds you make, you put towards paying off that debt. Get that debt paid off as quickly as possible. And maybe just rather than paying it, weekly or bi-weekly, you just save up as much money you can and then make large chunk payments at one time. That's up to you. You figure out what works the best for you, but focus on getting the extra hours in, get that credit card paid off, and get out from underneath that debt. I couldn't stand the interest payments that I was paying. At one point, I think I was paying $250 a month in interest. I don't even remember what the balance of the credit card was. And I don't remember what was on my credit card. But I knew that had to get paid off, so I focused on getting that paid off. And for me, in my personal debt journey, once I got that credit card paid off, and I stopped using it. So I kind of did I followed the Dave Ramsey way for a few years and paid the credit card off. I didn't get rid of it. I kept it. I kept the credit card, boom, locked it away, didn't use it. And then I turned and I focused on any other debts. So at the time, I had a Harley Davidson loan. I don't ever recommend getting a loan from Harley Davidson. If you're going to buy a motorcycle, go through some other reputable lender. I was paying an outrageous interest on those. That's a whole nother story for another day. I also had a Prosper loan, which is basically a company that you can get a loan from, a personal loan. I used the personal loan to pay the closing cost on my house. That's also additionally another story for another day. That I thought was a great idea, especially for the time I bought my house a year before COVID hit. So I was able to lock in that price. And then for a few years, I ended up paying a little bit more than what my house was. Like, I had my house payment and I had this personal loan that I had to pay back, which basically made my loan about the same amount as my apartment rental was prior to that. And of course, now the apartment that I was living in is like extremely higher now. It's probably double what my mortgage is. So credit card debt, try to avoid it best you can. Pay it off as quickly as you can, and then try not to have multiple cards. Pay off one, get rid of it, and then just keep one. Like, for a long time I had just one, and then I started a business and I decided I would get a second credit card and I would use that one strictly for business. And so now I have two, and one that I use for personal stuff, and then a second one I use for business expenses, or even buying business inventory with. I'll use that card, and then same thing, every month it gets paid off. But there are some people that, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in debt. And if you have a significant other, you're married, you got a girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever, and you're sneaking around getting credit cards behind their back, you need to be transparent about your responsibilities, financial responsibilities. That's one thing that I, going forward will always be. I try to maintain, my debt to a manageable amount. I like to have that credit score up over 800, and I'm just really responsible about what I do going forward. So I think we're going to close it out there. Credit card debt. If you haven't heard of Dave Ramsey, give him a look. Look him up. He's got some really good info. They got a YouTube show. He's got a book. He's got some apps. I'm not plugging his app. Not sponsored by anybody. Also look up Graham Stephan. I really like him. We will go deeper into Graham Stephan because he's got some really simple life choices that I like. Maybe we'll just roll into Graham Stephan and keep going. So Graham Stephan, I think, is a great business guy, genius, young kid. Believes that you should never buy coffee out in town, and I agree. Don't buy your coffee out in town unless it's like a special occasion. I might buy one, or two like drinks at a Starbucks, Dunkin', any place like that in a year, especially if I'm on the road, if I'm on vacation, out of town for some reason, then I'm gonna hit a Dunkin' Donuts or a Starbucks. I really don't care for Dunkin' Donuts coffee, but that's for another story. That's another day. We will talk about random topics. But Graham believes that if you don't spend that money on your coffee, you're not going out and you're buying that latte, whatever it is, and you're making your coffee at home, you are going to save significant, money by making your own coffee at home. And I'll take that one step further. I think if you're a coffee drinker and you like your coffee, however you make it, you're going to have to figure out what beans. You're going to have to run through. Do you want to buy ground beans? Do you want to buy whole beans and grind your own? And you're going to do your own comparisons of what you like as far as taste-wise. Because I find that there's so many different coffee blends and roasts. They all taste different. And I spent years researching it, and I'll be honest, I think the last 3-4 years I have been buying a Colombian French roast from Sam's Club for the last couple of years. I think now it's like $18-19 a bag, where when I first started buying it 3 years ago it was $8 a bag. So it has gone up considerably, but that's just been the whole inflation. Everything went up a lot in the last 3 years. So I normally, one of the reasons why I buy coffee, but I also buy it in bulk. So when I bought my coffee at $8 a bag, I think I bought like 6-7 bags and then threw them in the freezer, and I was good to go for about a year. So when prices were going up, I was still pulling those $8 a bag coffee out of the freezer and using those. So think wisely when if you're in a position to get yourself out of debt. You've gotten yourself out of debt, and now you want to manage money. Think about the things that may go up in cost that you can stock up on and not have to buy. I'm over 50, and one of the other things I've learned, stock up on deodorant. The price of deodorant just keeps going up, and up. So if you could lock in a price, let's say, deodorant, a 2-pack right now might run you $9 to $11, depending on the brand you're buying. So let's say $5 a stick. If you could lock in that $5 a stick or $8 stick, $6 stick, whatever you buy it in bulk, and you could lock that price in for a couple years. That's good on you, man. That's wise purchasing. Remember, if you're buying up large bulk of something, you got to have a place to store it too. So you got to have a house large enough to store things if you're buying larger items. I just wouldn't recommend buying up a ton of toilet paper and then not knowing where you're gonna put it. So there, we kind of got off on a rambling course. We were originally on credit cards. Try to watch what you use your credit cards for. You're gonna, you're going out to eat. Like a lot of people they're gonna go out to eat, buy a bunch of stuff, restaurants, vacations. That's the one. I was shocked. Vacations, and this can be a rambling. Remember, this is totally unscripted. Vacations. You're gonna go on a vacation, and you're gonna put it on your credit card, and then you're gonna pay it off over time. Let's say you're doing a summertime vacation. Well, next thing you know, a couple months later, you got Christmas rolling around. All of a sudden, you're putting Christmas on that credit. Next thing you know, that credit card is maxed out. And then next year you want to go on another vacation, so you decide to open up another credit card to go on another vacation. And it's a never-ending cycle. And then within like 3 years, you realize you're maxed out. You're maxed out in life, and all you can do is hunker down and pay them off or charge them off. And I don't recommend that. I don't ever recommend. If it's your debt, pay your debt off, and I try to teach my kids that you take out a loan, you pay it off. You get a credit card, you got to be responsible for it. I mean, I teach them right now. You got to be responsible with your checking account. You got your debit card, you're swiping that debit card. You need to know how much you have in your account. You need to know what you're buying. Don't be wasting money on stupid stuff. DoorDash. That's one that I've been trying to teach my youngest. Is like, don't blow your money on DoorDash. You got a job, you got a car you can drive, and yet you're DoorDashing Taco Bell and paying this outrageous fee for Taco Bell. It's just insane. And I just trust that I'm gonna guide them in the right direction, and that's been one that I have to keep under control. DoorDash, and I think that'll be a good conversation about excess usage of DoorDash, and we're gonna have that. Well, I'll add that to my list of topics I want to talk about. Excess usage of DoorDash. Anyway, that's credit card debt. If you like these videos, hit like and subscribe. I know I really don't look at that camera much. I'm on the road driving from point A to point B. But we're going to do more and more of these. You may not find these interesting, and you may find these a bunch of rambling on. But I'm having fun doing them. So this is episode 3, as I said. Hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you. Might even see you later on today, because I might want to run over that DoorDash one, and I got another long drive coming up. I actually have a few long drives coming up today, but we'll cover that on another episode, and we're out.